Welcome back. Now let's move together into today's passage. And Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and everything he had, and Lot went with him into the south. Abram was very rich in animals, silver, and gold. He traveled from the south back to Bethel, to the place where his tent had been at the beginning, between Bethel and Hai. He went to the place of the altar he had made at first, and there Abram called on the name of the Lord. Lot, who went with Abram, also had many flocks, herds, and tents. The land could not hold both of them together, because they had so much. So the men who took care of Abram's animals and the men who took care of Lot's animals began to argue. The Canaanites and Perizzites were also living in the land at that time. Abram said to Lot, "Please, let there be no arguing between us or between our herdsmen, because we are family. Isn't the whole land in front of you? Please separate from me. If you go left, I will go right, and if you go right, I will go left." Lot looked around and saw the whole plain of Jordan, which was well watered everywhere, like the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt before the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose all the plain of Jordan and traveled east. Abram and Lot separated from each other. Abram lived in the land of Canaan, and Lot lived in the cities of the plain and set up his tent near Sodom. But the men of Sodom were very wicked and sinned greatly against the Lord. After Lot had separated from him, the Lord said to Abram, "Lift up your eyes and look from where you are north, south, east, and west. I will give you all the land you see, and I will give it to your children forever. I will make your children like the dust of the earth, so that if anyone could count all the dust, then they could also count your children. Get up and walk through the land, its length and its width, for I will give it to you." Abram moved his tent and lived in the plain of Mamre, near Hebron, and there he built an altar to the Lord. In those days, Amraphel king of Shinar Arioch, king of Elasar, Chedorlaomer king of Elam, and Tidal king of nations, made war with Bera king of Sodom, Bersha king of Gomorrah, Shinab king of Admah, Shimber king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, which is Zoar. All these kings joined together in the valley of Siddim, which is the Salt Sea. They had served Chedorlaomer for 12 years, but in the 13th year they rebelled. In the 14th year, Chedorlaomer and the kings with him attacked and defeated the Repaims, the Zuzims, the Emims, and the Horites, and went as far as El Paran near the wilderness. Then they returned to En-Mishpat, which is Kadesh, and attacked the land of the Amalekites and the Amorites in Hezez and Tamar. Then the kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Bela Zua went out and fought with Chedorlaomer king of Elam, Tidal king of nations, Amraphel king of Shinar, and Arioch king of Elasar, 4 kings against 5. The valley of Siddim was full of slime pits, and the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah fled and fell there, and the rest escaped to the mountain. The enemy took all the goods and food of Sodom and Gomorrah and went away. They also took Lot, Abram's nephew, who lived in Sodom, and his belongings, and left. One man escaped and told Abram the Hebrew. Abram lived near Mamre the Amorite, the brother of Eshcol and Aner, who were friends with him. When Abram heard that Lot had been taken, he gathered his trained servants, 318 men born in his house, and chased the enemy to Dan. Abram divided his men at night and attacked them. He chased them to Hobah, north of Damascus. He brought back all the goods, Lot's belongings, the women, and the other people. The king of Sodom came out to meet Abram after he returned from defeating Chedorlaomer and the kings with him. At the valley of Shaveh, the king's valley, Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought bread and wine. He was a priest of God Most High. He blessed Abram and said, "Blessed be Abram of God Most High, maker of heaven and earth. And blessed be God Most High, who has given your enemies into your hand." And Abram gave Melchizedek 1/10 of everything. The king of Sodom said to Abram, "Give me the people and keep the goods for yourself." But Abram said, "I have lifted my hand to the Lord God Most, High Maker of heaven and earth, that I will not take anything from you, not even a thread or a shoelace. So you cannot say, 'I made Abram rich.' I will take nothing except what my young men have eaten, and the share that belongs to Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. Let them take their share." After this, the word of the Lord came to Abram in a vision, saying, "Do not be afraid, Abram. I am your shield and your very great reward." Abram said, "Lord God, what will you give me, since I have no child?" "The one who will inherit my house is Eliezer of Damascus." Abram said, "You have given me no child, so a servant born in my house will be my heir." But the Lord said, "He will not be your heir. You will have a son from your own body, and he will be your heir." The Lord took Abram outside and said, "Look up at the sky and count the stars, if you can. That is how many children you will have." Abram believed the Lord, and the Lord counted it as righteousness. The Lord said, "I am the Lord who brought you out of Ur of the Chaldees to give you this land." Abram said, "Lord God, how will I know I will possess it?" The Lord said, "Bring me a 3-year-old cow, a 3-year-old goat, a 3-year-old ram, a turtle dove, and a young pigeon." Abram brought all of them and cut the animals in half and laid the pieces opposite each other, but he did not cut the birds. When birds came down on the pieces, Abram drove them away. As the sun was going down, a deep sleep came upon Abram, and a great and frightening darkness came over him. The Lord said, "Know for sure that your children will be strangers in a land that is not theirs. They will serve the people there, and will be treated badly for 400 years. But I will judge the nation they serve, and afterward they will come out with many possessions. You will live in peace and die at a good old age. In the 4th generation, your children will return here, because the sin of the Amorites is not yet full." When the sun went down and it was dark, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp passed between the pieces. On that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, "I give this land to your children, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates, the land of the Kenites, Kenizzites, Cadmonites, Hittites, Perizzites, Repaims, Amorites, Canaanites, Girgashites, and Jebusites." Sarai, Abram's wife, had no children. She had an Egyptian servant named Hagar. Sarai said to Abram, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Please go to my servant. Maybe I can have children through her." Abram listened to Sarai. After Abram had lived 10 years in Canaan, Sarai took Hagar and gave her to Abram as his wife. Hagar became pregnant. When she saw this, she began to look down on Sarai. Sarai said to Abram, "My wrong is on you. I gave my servant to you, and now that she is pregnant, she looks down on me. May the Lord judge between us." Abram said, "Your servant is in your hands. Do whatever you think is best." Then Sarai treated Hagar harshly, and Hagar ran away. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah: Shem, Ham, and Japheth. To them were sons born after the flood. The sons of Japheth were Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras. The sons of Gomer were Ashkenaz, Riphath, and Togarmah. The sons of Javan were Elisha, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodanim. By these were the islands of the nations, divided into their own lands, each one with its own language, their families, and their nations. The sons of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Phut, and Canaan. The sons of Cush were Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, and Sabtesha. The sons of Ramah were Sheba and Dedan. Cush had a son named Nimrod. He began to be a mighty man on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. So people said, like Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. The beginning of his kingdom was Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh. in the land of Shinar. From that land came Ashur, who built Nineveh, Rehoboth, Calah, and Resen, between Nineveh and Calah, which is a great city. Mizraim had sons called Ludim, Anamim, Lehabim, Naphtuhim, Pathrusim, and Casluhim, from whom came the Philistines, and Caphtorim. Canaan had sons named Sidon his firstborn, and Het, and the Jebusite, the Amorite, the Girgasite, the Hivite, the Archite, the Sinite, the Arvadad, the Zemarite, and the Hamathite. Afterward, the families of the Canaanites spread out. The border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as you go toward Gerar, to Gaza, and as you go toward Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim, to Lasha. These were the sons of Ham, after their families, their languages, their lands, and their nations. Shem, the father of all the children of Eber, and the brother of Japheth the older, also had children. The children of Shem were Elam, Ashur, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. The children of Aram were Uz, Hul, Gether, and Mash. Arphaxad had a son named Salah, and Salah had a son named Eber. Eber had 2 sons. One was named Peleg, because in his days the earth was divided, and his brother was named Joktan. Joktan had many sons: Almadad, Sheleph, Hazarmaveth, Jerah, Hadoram, Uzal, Diklah, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jabab. These were the sons of Joktan. Their land was from Mesha, as you go toward Siphar, a mountain in the east. These were the sons of Shem, after their families, their languages, their lands, and their nations. These were the families of the sons of Noah, in their generations, in their nations. From them the nations were divided on the earth after the flood. The whole earth had one language and one way of speaking. As people traveled from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar and lived there. They said to each other, "Come, let us make bricks and bake them well." They used bricks instead of stone and tar for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build a city and a tower with its top in the sky, and let us make a name for ourselves, so we will not be scattered over the whole earth." The Lord came down to see the city and the tower that the people were building. The Lord said, "Look, the people are united and all have one language, and this is only the beginning of what they will do. Nothing they plan will be too hard for them. Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other." So the Lord scattered them over the whole earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why its name was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of all the earth. And from there the Lord scattered them over the whole world. These are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old, and had a son named Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. After Arphaxad was born, Shem lived 500 more years, and had sons and daughters. Arphaxad lived 35 years, and had a son named Salah. After Salah was born, Arphaxad lived 403 more years, and had sons and daughters. Salah lived 30 years, and had a son named Eber. After Eber was born, Salah lived 403 more years, and had sons and daughters. Eber lived 34 years, and had a son named Peleg. After Peleg was born, Eber lived 430 more years, and had sons and daughters. Peleg lived 30 years, and had a son named Reu. After Reu was born, Peleg lived 209 more years, and had sons and daughters. Reu lived 32 years, and had a son named Serug. After Serug was born, Reu lived 207 more years, and had sons and daughters. Serug lived 30 years, and had a son named Nar. After Nar was born, Serug lived 200 more years, and had sons and daughters. Nar lived 29 years, and had a son named Terah. After Terah was born, Nar lived 119 more years, and had sons and daughters. Terah lived 70 years and had sons named Abram, Nar, and Haran. These are the generations of Terah. Terah had Abram, Nar, and Haran. Haran had a son named Lot. Haran died before his father Terah in the land where he was born, in Ur of the Chaldees. Abram and Nar both married. Abram's wife was named Sarai. Nar's wife was named Milcah, the daughter of Haran, the father of Milcah and Iscah. But Sarai had no children. Terah took Abram, Lot, Haran's son, and Sarai, Abram's wife, and they left Ur of the Chaldees to go to the land of Canaan. They came to Haran and stayed there. Terah lived 205 years and died in Haran. The Lord said to Abram, "Leave your country, your family, and your father's house, and go to a land that I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. Through you all families of the earth will be blessed." So Abram left, just as the Lord had told him, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he left Haran. Abram took Sarai his wife, Lot his brother's son, all their belongings, and the people they had gained in Haran. They set out for the land of Canaan, and they arrived there. Abram traveled through the land to the place of Shechem, to the plain of Moreh. The Canaanites were in the land then. The Lord appeared to Abram and said, "To your children I will give this land." So Abram built an altar there to the Lord who had appeared to him. Then he moved to a mountain east of Bethel and set up his tent, with Bethel on the west and Hai on the east. There he built another altar to the Lord and called on the name of the Lord. Then Abram continued traveling toward the south. There was a famine in the land, so Abram went down to Egypt to live there for a while, for the famine was very bad in the land. When he was about to enter Egypt, he said to Sarai his wife, "Look, I know that you are a very beautiful woman. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, 'This is his wife,' and they will kill me, but let you live. Please say that you are my sister, so things will go well for me because of you, and I will stay alive." When Abram came into Egypt, the Egyptians saw that Sarai was very beautiful. Pharaoh's officials saw her and praised her to Pharaoh, and she was taken into Pharaoh's house. Pharaoh treated Abram well because of her, giving him sheep, oxen, donkeys, male and female servants, female donkeys, and camels. But the Lord sent great plagues on Pharaoh and his house because of Sarai, Abram's wife. Pharaoh called Abram and said, "What is this you have done to me? Why did you not tell me that she was your wife? Why did you say, 'She is my sister,' so that I might have taken her as my wife? Now, here is your wife. Take her and go." Then Pharaoh ordered his men about Abram, and they sent him away with his wife and everything he had. The angel of the Lord found Hagar by a fountain of water in the wilderness, by the fountain on the way to Shur. He said, "Hagar, Sarai's servant, where did you come from, and where are you going?" She said, "I am running away from my mistress Sarai." The angel of the Lord said to her, "Return to your mistress and obey her." The angel of the Lord said, "I will make your children so many that no one will be able to count them." The angel of the Lord said to her, "You are with a child, and you will have a son, and you will call his name Ishmael, because the Lord has heard your suffering. He will be like a wild man. He will stand against everyone, and everyone will stand against him, and he will live near all his brothers." Hagar called the name of the Lord who spoke to her, "You are the God who sees me." For she said, "Have I really seen the one who sees me?" That well was called Bir Lahai Aroi. It is between Kadesh and Bered. Hagar gave Abram a son, and Abram called his name Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar gave him Ishmael. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him and said, "I am Almighty God. Walk before me and be blameless. I will make my covenant between me and you, and I will greatly multiply you." Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him and said, "My covenant is with you, and you will be a father of many nations. Your name will no longer be Abram, but your name will be Abraham, because I have made you a father of many nations. I will make you very fruitful, and nations and kings will come from you. I will make my covenant with you, and with your children after you, for all their generations, as an everlasting covenant, to be God to you and to your children after you. I will give you and your children after you the land where you are a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God." God said to Abraham, "You must keep my covenant, you and your children after you. This is my covenant that you must keep. Every boy among you must be circumcised. You must circumcise the skin of your foreskin, and it will be a sign of the covenant between me and you. Every baby boy 8 days old must be circumcised. Everyone born in your house or bought with money from a stranger who is not your child. Anyone born in your house or bought with your money must be circumcised. My covenant will be in your flesh as an everlasting covenant. Any boy who is not circumcised will be cut off from his people, because he has broken my covenant." God said to Abraham, "As for your wife Sarai, do not call her Sarai, but Sarah will be your name. I will bless her and give you a son by her. I will bless her, and she will be the mother of nations. Kings of people will come from her." Abraham fell on his face and laughed and said in his heart, "Shall a child be born to a man who is 100 years old? And shall Sarah, who is 90 years old, have a child?" Abraham said to God, "Oh, that Ishmael would live before you." God said, "Your wife Sarah will truly give you a son, and you will call his name Isaac. I will make my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant with his children after him. As for Ishmael, I have heard you. I have blessed him, and I will make him fruitful and greatly multiply him. He will have 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant I will make with Isaac, whom Sarah will have for you at this set time next year." When God finished talking with him, he went up from Abraham. Abraham took his son Ishmael, and all who were born in his house, and all who were bought with his money, every male in his household, and circumcised them that very same day, just as God had said. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised. Ishmael was 13 years old when he was circumcised. That same day, Abraham and Ishmael were circumcised, and all the men of his household were circumcised with him. The Lord appeared to Abraham in the plains of Mamre. Abraham sat at the door of his tent in the heat of the day. He looked up and saw 3 men standing near him. When he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them and bowed to the ground. He said, "My Lord, if I have found favor in your sight, please do not pass by. Let a little water be brought, and wash your feet and rest under the tree. I will bring a little bread to comfort your hearts. After that you may go, since you have come to your servant." They said, "Do as you have said." Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah and said, "Quickly make 3 measures of fine flour, knead it, and make cakes." He ran to the herd, chose a tender and good calf, and gave it to a young man, who hurried to prepare it. Abraham took butter, milk, and the calf, and set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree while they ate. They said to him, "Where is Sarah your wife?" He said, "In the tent." One of them said, "I will certainly return to you at the proper time, and Sarah your wife will have a son." Sarah heard this at the tent door behind him. Abraham and Sarah were old and well along in years, and Sarah no longer had children in the way women usually do. Sarah laughed to herself and said, "After I am old, and my husband is old, will I really have a child?" The Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Will I really have a child when I am old?' Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the appointed time I will return, and Sarah will have a son." Sarah denied it and said, "I did not laugh," because she was afraid. But he said, "Yes, you did laugh." The men got up and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham walked with them to send them on their way. The Lord said, "Shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Since Abraham will surely become a great and mighty nation, and all nations of the earth will be blessed through him. I know him, that he will teach his children and his household to keep the way of the Lord, to do what is right, so that the Lord may bring upon Abraham what he has promised." The Lord said, "Because the outcry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and their sin is very terrible, I will go down and see whether they have done as the outcry has said. If not, I will know." The men turned and went toward Sodom, but Abraham stood before the Lord. Abraham came near and said, "Will you destroy the good people with the wicked? What if there are 50 good people in the city? Will you destroy the city and not spare it for the 50 good people in it? Far be it from you to do this, to kill the good with the wicked. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right?" The Lord said, "If I find 50 good people in Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake." Abraham said, "What if there are 5 fewer than 50? Will you destroy the city because it lacks 5? He said, "If I find 45, I will not destroy it." Abraham spoke again and said, "What if 40 are found there?" He said, "I will not do it for 40's sake." Abraham said, "Oh, let the Lord not be angry, and I will speak. What if 30 are found there?" He said, "I will not do it if I find 30. Abraham said, "I have taken it upon myself to speak to the Lord. What if 20 are found there?" He said, "I will not destroy it for 20's sake." Abraham said, "Oh, let the Lord not be angry, and I will speak just once more. What if 10 are found there?" He said, "I will not destroy it for 10's sake." The Lord went his way when he finished speaking with Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to be the only righteous person in a city doomed for destruction? That's exactly where we find Lot. 2 angels arrive in the wicked city of Sodom, and Lot, sitting at the city gate, immediately recognizes their divine nature. He begs them to stay at his house, offering them hospitality and protection. They initially refuse, planning to stay in the open square, but Lot's persistence convinces them. He prepares a meal for them, a humble offering in a city filled with vice. But the night is far from peaceful. Before they can even rest, the men of Sodom, from every corner of the city, young and old, surround Lot's house. Their intentions are horrifying. They demand that Lot bring out his guests. In a desperate and shocking attempt to protect the men under his roof, Lot steps outside, closes the door behind him, and offers his own 2 daughters to the mob instead. It's a chilling moment that shows just how depraved the city had become, and the extreme measures Lot felt he had to take to uphold the sacred duty of hospitality. The mob, however, scoffs at his offer. They see Lot as an outsider trying to play judge and threaten to treat him even worse than his guests. They surge forward, ready to break down the door. Just as all hope seems lost, the angels act. They reach out, pull Lot back inside to safety, and strike the entire mob with a sudden supernatural blindness. The wicked men are left fumbling in the dark, unable to even find the doorway, their evil intentions thwarted by divine power. With the immediate threat gone, the angels deliver their grave message to Lot. The outcry against Sodom has reached heaven, and they have been sent to destroy it. They command Lot to gather his family, his sons-in-law, his sons, his daughters, anyone who belongs to him, and get them out of the city immediately. Lot rushes to warn his sons-in-law, who are married to his daughters, pleading with them to flee. But they don't believe him. They laugh, thinking he's telling a joke, completely unaware of the imminent catastrophe. As dawn breaks, the angels grow urgent. "Hurry," they tell Lot. "Take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, or you will be swept away with the city's punishment." But Lot hesitates. He's paralyzed, perhaps by fear, indecision, or the weight of leaving his entire life behind. Seeing his delay, and in an act of incredible mercy, the angels grab Lot, his wife, and his 2 daughters by the hand and physically drag them out of the city. Once they are clear, the command is simple and absolute. Escape for your life. Don't look back and don't stop anywhere on the plain. Flee to the mountains or you will be destroyed. Even now, Lot bargains. He looks at the mountains and fears he won't make it. He points to a small nearby town and begs the angel to let him flee there instead. It's just a little one, he pleads. The angel agrees, promising not to destroy that town for his sake. That small town would come to be known as Zoar. As the sun rises, Lot and his daughters reach the safety of Zoar. And then it begins. The sky opens up, and the Lord rains down fire and burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah. The cities, the entire plain, every inhabitant, and every living plant are utterly consumed. Amid this terrifying spectacle of divine judgment, a tragedy of disobedience unfolds. Lot's wife, against the explicit command, looks back. Perhaps it was a longing for the life she was leaving, or simple curiosity, but that one glance cost her everything. In that instant, she was transformed into a pillar of salt, a permanent monument to the folly of disobedience. Miles away, Abraham wakes up early. He goes to the place where he had stood before the Lord, where he had pleaded for Sodom. He looks out over the plain and sees a thick column of smoke rising, like the smoke from a massive furnace. He witnesses the aftermath of the destruction. Yet, the text tells us something beautiful. In the midst of this judgment, God remembered Abraham. It was because of Abraham's faithfulness that God sent his angels to pull Lot out of the disaster. Lot's story doesn't end there, though. Fearing to stay in Zoar, he takes his 2 daughters and goes to live in a cave in the mountains. Here, the story takes another dark and disturbing turn. His daughters, believing they are the last people on earth and desperate to preserve their family line, devise a plan. They get their father drunk on 2 consecutive nights. In his stupor, they each lie with him. Both daughters become pregnant by their own father. The older daughter gives birth to a son named Moab, who becomes the ancestor of the Moabites. The younger gives birth to a son named Ben-Ami, the ancestor of the Ammonites. It's a tragic and complex end to their escape, a legacy born from desperation and isolation. Meanwhile, Abraham's journey continues. He travels south and settles in Gerar. History seems to repeat itself when, out of fear, Abraham again tells people that his beautiful wife Sarah is his sister. The king of Gerar, Abimelech, hears this and, believing her to be available, sends for Sarah and takes her into his palace. But God intervenes directly. He comes to Abimelech in a dream and warns him, "You are a dead man, for the woman you have taken is married." Abimelech, who hadn't touched Sarah, is stunned. He pleads his innocence to God. "Lord, will you destroy an innocent nation? He told me, 'She is my sister,' and she herself said, 'He is my brother.' I did this with a clear conscience." God acknowledges his innocence in the dream, explaining that it was divine intervention that prevented him from sinning. The command is clear: return the woman to her husband. God reveals Abraham's status as a prophet who will pray for Abimelech so that he may live. But the warning is severe. If he fails to return her, he and his entire household will surely die. The next morning, a terrified Abimelech confronts Abraham. "What have you done to us?" he demands. "You have brought great guilt upon me and my kingdom." Abraham explains his reasoning. "I thought to myself, there is surely no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me for my wife." He then reveals a partial truth: Sarah is indeed his half-sister, the daughter of his father, but not his mother. Abimelech, rather than seeking revenge, acts with incredible generosity. He returns Sarah, gives Abraham livestock and servants, and offers him land to live on. He also gives Abraham 1,000 pieces of silver as a public vindication for Sarah. Abraham then prays for Abimelech, and God heals the king and his household, who had been afflicted with barrenness because of this incident. And then, after all the waiting, all the trials, and all the doubt, God's promise comes to fruition. At the exact time God had foretold, Sarah, in her old age, conceives and bears a son to Abraham. Abraham, now 100 years old, names the child Isaac, which means he laughs. Sarah is filled with joy. God has brought me laughter, she says, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me. The impossible had happened. The long-awaited heir was finally born. The child, Isaac, grows, and the day comes for him to be weaned. Abraham throws a great feast to celebrate. But at this happy occasion, Sarah sees something that troubles her. She sees Ishmael, the son Abraham had with her Egyptian servant Hagar, mocking Isaac. A fierce protective instinct rises within her. She goes to Abraham and makes a harsh demand. Get rid of that slave woman and her son, for her son will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac. This demand distresses Abraham greatly. Ishmael is his son too. God spoke to Abraham, telling him to listen to Sarah. She wanted Hagar and her son Ishmael sent away. God reassured Abraham, saying, "Don't be upset. Listen to Sarah, because your descendants will be traced through Isaac. But I will also make a great nation from Hagar's son, because he is your child too." So early the next morning, Abraham gave Hagar some bread and a skin of water, put them on her shoulder, and sent her and the boy away. They wandered into the desert of Beersheba. Soon the water ran out. In complete despair, Hagar placed Ishmael under a bush. She couldn't bear to watch him die, so she sat down about an arrow's shot away and began to sob uncontrollably. But God heard the boy's cries. An angel called out from heaven, "Hagar, what's wrong? Don't be afraid. God has heard the boy. Go, lift him up and hold his hand, for I will make him into a great nation." Then God opened Hagar's eyes, and she saw a well. She rushed to fill the water skin and gave her son a drink. God was with Ishmael as he grew up in the desert, becoming a skilled archer. He settled in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother eventually found him a wife from Egypt. Meanwhile, back with Abraham, a local king named Abimelech, along with his army commander Phicol, came to him. They said, "God is clearly with you in everything you do. So swear to us now by God that you won't deal falsely with me, my children, or my descendants. Show me the same loyalty I've shown you." Abraham agreed, saying, "I swear." But he also used this opportunity to bring up a complaint. "Your servants," he told Abimelech, "have seized a well that I dug." Abimelech was surprised. "I have no idea who did this," he replied. "You never told me. This is the first I'm hearing of it." To settle the matter and create a formal treaty, Abraham gave Abimelech sheep and cattle. He also set aside 7 away lambs. When Abimelech asked what they were for, Abraham explained, "Accept these 7 lambs from me as a witness that I was the one who dug this well." That's why the place was called Beersheba, which means well of the oath, because they both made a sworn promise there. After the treaty was made, Abimelech and his commander returned home. Abraham then planted a tamarisk tree at Beersheba and called on the name of the Lord, the eternal God. And he lived in the land of the Philistines for a long time. After all this, God decided to test Abraham's faith in the most profound way imaginable. God called, "Abraham," and Abraham replied, "Here I am." Then came the staggering command, "Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you." Can you imagine? This was the son he had waited a lifetime for, the child of the promise. Yet, without question, Abraham got up early the next morning. He saddled his donkey, took 2 servants and his son Isaac, and cut the wood for the offering. For 3 days they traveled. On the third day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. He told his servants, "Stay here with the donkey. The boy and I will go over there to worship, and then we will come back to you." Notice his words of faith. "We will come back to you." Abraham placed the wood for the burnt offering on Isaac's shoulders, while he himself carried the fire and the knife. As they walked on together, Isaac, in his innocence, asked, "Father, we have the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Abraham's heart must have been breaking, but his faith held firm. He answered, "God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son." They continued on together. When they reached the designated spot, Abraham built an altar and arranged the wood. Then he bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar, on top of the wood. He reached out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. At that very moment, the angel of the Lord called from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham." He answered, "Here I am." The angel commanded, "Do not lay a hand on the boy. Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son." Abraham looked up, and there in a thicket he saw a ram caught by its horns. He went over, took the ram, and sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son. Abraham called that place Jehovah-Jireh, which means the Lord will provide. And to this day, people say, "On the mountain of the Lord it will be provided." The angel of the Lord called to Abraham from heaven a second time, delivering a powerful promise from God himself. "I swear by myself, declares the Lord, that because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you. I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as the sand on the seashore. Your descendants will take possession of the cities of their enemies, and through your offspring, all nations on earth will be blessed because you have obeyed me." After this incredible ordeal, Abraham returned to his servants, and they all went back to live in Beersheba. Sometime later, news reached Abraham that his brother Nar also had sons, including one named Bethuel, who would become the father of Rebekah, a name we'll want to remember. Life continued, and the years passed. Sarah lived to be 127 years old. She died in a place called Kirjath Arba, which is now Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Abraham was overwhelmed with grief, mourning for his beloved wife. After a period of mourning, he approached the local people, the Hittites, and said, "I am a foreigner and a stranger among you. Sell me some property for a burial site so I can bury my dead." The Hittites responded with great respect, "Sir, you are a mighty prince among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our tombs. No one will refuse you." Abraham bowed before them and made his request specific. "If you are willing, please speak on my behalf to Ephron, son of Zohar. Ask him to sell me the cave of Machpelah at the end of his field. I'll pay the full price for it." Ephron himself was sitting there among the people and spoke up for all to hear, "No, my lord. Listen to me. I give you the field, and I give you the cave that is in it. I give it to you in the presence of my people. Bury your dead." But Abraham wanted this to be a legal, permanent transaction, not just a gift. He bowed again and insisted, "Please, listen to me. I will pay the price of the field. Accept it from me so I can bury my dead there." Ephron replied, "Listen, my lord, the land is worth 400 shekels of silver, but what is that between you and me? Bury your dead." Abraham understood. He agreed to the price and publicly weighed out the silver for Ephron 400 shekels, according to the standard merchant weight. And so the field, the cave, and all the trees within its borders officially became Abraham's property. It was the first piece of the promised land that he owned. There he buried his wife Sarah. Abraham was now a very old man, and the Lord had blessed him in every single way. One day he called his oldest and most trusted servant, the one who managed his entire household. "Listen," Abraham said, "I need you to make a solemn promise. Place your hand under my thigh and swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and earth, that you will not find a wife for my son Isaac from among the Canaanite women who live here. Instead, you must travel back to my homeland, to my own relatives, and find a wife for him there." The servant was practical. He asked, "But what if the woman refuses to leave her home and come back with me to this land? Should I then take your son Isaac back to the land you came from?" "Absolutely not." Abraham insisted. "Be very careful you never take my son back there. The Lord, the God of heaven, is the one who brought me from my father's house and my native land. He promised me on oath, saying, 'To your offspring I will give this land.' He will send his angel ahead of you, and you will succeed in finding a wife for my son there. But if the woman is unwilling to follow you, then you will be released from this oath you've made to me. Just under no circumstances are you to take my son back there." So the servant made the sworn promise to his master. Then the servant prepared for his long journey. He took 10 of his master's camels, loaded them with all sorts of valuable gifts, and set off for Mesopotamia, toward the city where Abraham's brother Nar lived. He arrived in the evening and had the camels kneel down by a well just outside the city. This was the time when the women of the city would come out to draw water. The servant began to pray, "O Lord, God of my master Abraham, please grant me success today and show your unfailing love to my master. See, I am standing here by this spring, and the young women of the town are coming out to draw water. May it be that when I say to a young woman, 'Please let down your jar that I may have a drink,' and she says, 'Drink, and I will water your camels too,' let her be the one you have chosen for your servant Isaac. By this, I will know that you have shown kindness to my master." It was an incredible moment. Before he had even finished praying, a young woman named Rebekah came out, carrying her water jar on her shoulder. She was the daughter of Bethuel, who was the son of Milcah, the wife of Abraham's brother Nar. Rebekah was stunningly beautiful, and she was a virgin. She went down to the spring, filled her jar, and started to head back up. The servant hurried to meet her. "Please," he said, "give me a little water from your jar." "Drink, my lord," she replied immediately. She quickly lowered the jar from her shoulder and gave him a drink. After he had finished, she said, "I will draw water for your camels as well, until they have had enough to drink." She wasted no time, quickly emptying her jar into the watering trough and running back to the well again and again, drawing water for all 10 of his camels. A thirsty camel can drink a lot of water, so this was a huge task. The servant just watched her in silence, completely amazed, wondering if this was truly the Lord answering his prayer and making his journey a success. When the camels had finally finished drinking, the servant took out a beautiful gold nose ring and 2 heavy gold bracelets. He asked her, "Whose daughter are you? And please tell me, is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night?" She answered, "I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah and Nar. And yes, we have plenty of straw and feed for the camels, and we have a room for you to stay." At this, the servant bowed his head and worshiped the Lord. He said, "Praise be to the Lord, the God of my master Abraham, who has not abandoned his kindness and faithfulness to my master. For the Lord has led me on the journey directly to the house of my master." As relatives, Rebekah was so excited, she ran straight home to her mother's household and told them everything that had just happened. Now, Rebekah had a brother named Laban. When he saw the expensive nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's wrists and heard her story about what the man had said to her, he ran out to the well. He found the servant still standing there with his camels. Laban said, "Come in, you who are blessed by the Lord. Why are you standing out here? I have prepared the house and made a place for the camels." So the servant went into the house. They unloaded the camels, gave them straw and feed, and brought water for him and his men to wash their feet. Then they set food before him. But the servant said, "I will not eat until I have told you my mission." "Then speak," Laban said. So he began, "I am Abraham's servant. The Lord has blessed my master abundantly, and he has become very wealthy. He has given him flocks and herds, silver and gold, male and female servants, and camels and donkeys. My master's wife Sarah bore him a son in her old age, and he has given everything he owns to that son. And my master made me swear an oath. He said I must not get a wife for his son from the daughters of the Canaanites. Instead, I had to go to his own father's family and to his own clan to get a wife for his son. I asked him, 'What if the woman will not come back with me?' He answered, 'The Lord, before whom I have walked faithfully, will send his angel with you and make your journey a success.' I came to the well today, and I prayed, asking God for a specific sign to show me the right woman. Before I had even finished my prayer, Rebekah came out with her water jar. I asked her for a drink, and she not only gave me one, but she offered to water all my camels too. So I asked whose daughter she was, and she told me she was the daughter of Bethuel. Then I put the ring in her nose and the bracelets on her arms, and I bowed down and worshipped the Lord, who led me on the right road to take the daughter of my master, his brother, for his son. Now then, the servant concluded, 'If you will show kindness and faithfulness to my master, tell me. And if not, tell me, so I will know which way to turn.' Laban and her father Bethuel replied, 'This is from the Lord. We can say nothing to you one way or the other. Here is Rebekah. Take her and go, and let her become the wife of your master's son, as the Lord has directed.' When Abraham's servant heard their reply, he bowed down to the ground before the Lord. Then he brought out articles of silver and gold, and beautiful clothing, and gave them to Rebekah. He also gave costly gifts to her brother and her mother. Then he and the men with him ate and drank and spent the night there. When they got up the next morning, the servant said, 'Send me on my way to my master.' But Rebekah's brother and mother replied, 'Let the young woman stay with us for a while, at least 10 days. Then she can go.' But he insisted, 'Do not delay me, now that the Lord has granted success to my journey. Send me on my way so I may return to my master.' They said, 'Let's call Rebekah and ask her what she thinks.' So they called for her. 'Are you willing to go with this man?' they asked. And she said simply, 'I will go.' So they sent their sister Rebekah on her way, along with her nurse, and with Abraham's servant and his men. And they blessed Rebekah, saying, 'Our sister, may you increase to thousands upon thousands. May your offspring possess the gates of their enemies.' And so Rebekah set off on the journey that would change her life and the course of history forever. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing stories from the Bible. God bless you. Until next time.